you guys had to do to get to this decision today?
Well, I mean, I think, you all were here for the last hearing and what happened, and I think as time went on and there was some reflection on all parties' parts, so they reached out and wanted to sit down and have a conversation, which, that's not an uncommon thing at the Nevada Athletic Commission. I think you don't really hear about a lot of that, but we have a lot of discussions with fighters that are not in this room on all kinds of issues. So he requested that. We, of course, our door is open to any fighter who wants to meet with us about anything. That's our job. So he made the trip to come over here, and we sat down. We had a very productive meeting. I think that there were some things that I, as the Nevada State Athletic Commission chairman, looked at that I thought we should have done different. I thought we could have done better. And he pointed out some things, I think, on his part that he felt he could do better. And I think that a rehearing was the exact correct action here, based on how the last meeting, the last decision was made, and so that's how we got to this point. I don't have the authority to grant the rehearing. I only have the authority to put it on the agenda, and I think today was pretty obvious that I think a lot of the commissioners felt the same way, that the last hearing was not where I thought we should be or where they thought we should be. So you saw what happened here today, and that's really how we got
The
it.
previous hearing, you seemed to disagree with the hefty $150,000 fine. Did you have any problem with other commissioners of getting them to come over to your side on that?
No, I didn't. I mean, I think that today, I'm equally responsible. I voted for that final motion back in October. So, but I think, like I said, in time, I can honestly tell you, I've walked out of this commission room during my tenure many times that said that was exactly the right medicine. We did exactly what we should have done. And there's a few times where I walked out and said, I think we went a little too far, even though I was a participant in it. And I think that some self-reflection at times was not bad. So this all kind of came together 3 or 4 months later after there was some time to think about it. And I did disagree with the $150,000. I thought it was too heavy, even though I voted for it as it got kind of bifurcated, because it wasn't really $150,000. It was $75,000 of cash, and it was $75,000 of some way of accounting for a public service announcement, which nobody was really clear on how to do, and that was the gray area for me. So that's why I think it was, on top of that, it was better to bring it back into the room.
How much of a learning experience is that going forward for you guys to have some clarity on things like that? I think everybody left last time saying $75,000 in production costs or distribution costs or whatever that is. What does that even mean? So how important is it for you guys to have clarity on punishments going forward on that?
Sometimes motions take a life of their own in these rooms, and it's in the moment, and you are not necessarily thinking about all of the aftermath or the repercussions that happen from a motion. That's why I said some time to reflect sometimes is not a bad thing. This commission's come back a couple times after reflecting and said, this is probably too far. We weren't thinking about this, and I don't think it's a bad thing for us to be able to admit when we've gone too far. We're human too. I think that this was the right outcome, and I think everybody agrees with that.
The cash portion went from $75,000 to $25,000. Why was that reduced?
Well, that was the original recommendation of the Attorney General, and if you go out and look in all of sports for things that get thrown, the fines are not very high for whatever reason. And I think that we didn't have any precedent to go on here. We had nowhere to go with this. Usually when somebody comes before us with a doping violation, we have a lot of precedent for that. We know exactly where to go. Our regs are very clear, both in time and money, for specific substances, for if it's an initial instance or if it's repeat. The regs really are kind of drive the motion. Throwing a monster can in a water bottle at a press conference, that's a first. So, we started sitting back and saying, okay, is $75,000 appropriate for throwing a water bottle? And I think that's where a lot of the thoughts came from. Maybe even that is too far. 150 I thought was definitely too far, and I think the 75 was too far. So I think 25 is a fair number for what was done. I mean, somebody could have gotten really hurt outside of the fighters. So I think you got to take that into consideration too. And I still can't tell you if there's no science to this. It's an art. So there's no, 25,000 for throwing a water bottle.
So there's 10,000 for a Coke can, 25 for
How
water.
apologetic Conor McGregor has been throughout this whole situation. What's been your impression talking to him? What's he like on the phone? Because obviously we didn't get to hear from him today.
As As I mentioned earlier today, which took place on October 10th, he was extremely apologetic, apologized profusely, not only to the commission, but to the fans, to his fellow fighters. And I thought he was very honest and forthright, and there was no agreement in place. And as I stated earlier today, he left the decision up to the commission. And our subsequent meeting that was chaired by the chairman, Arnell, I thought was outstanding. That we came together, we sat down, we had a mutually beneficial conversation. We got an appreciation of what his concerns and interests were, and he clearly understood what our interests and concerns are as the fight capital of the world. And it was very productive, very cordial, very productive, very professional. So I believe it was a win-win situation, and it was led by the chairman.
Were you present with the meeting with him when he came into town?
Yes, I was.
And what was your impression?
As I previously stated, it was spearheaded by the chairman. His counsel was present, his manager was present, Conor, myself, and I guess the best way to put it, it was mutually beneficial. It was a win-win situation, and all parties got to articulate their concerns and what he can expect from the Nevada State Athletic Commission as the fight capital of the world. And, you know, we realized what his concerns were, and that's why, excuse me, the chairman was willing to go ahead and allow his attorney to provide a rehearing and then a motion for reconsideration. So I think actually it's a great day for the commission, and it's a great move by the chairman to show that we are customer service oriented. We run a business, we're in the fight business, and we take a lot of pride in what we do, and we want to make sure that the fighters know when they come here, they're going to be treated respectfully, fairly, and they don't need to worry the end result of the fight. They're going to have great officiating. It's a great city for fights, and it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Did he reach out to you, or did you reach out to him for the meeting?
No, they reached out to the chairman. They reached out, excuse me, to our Chief Deputy Attorney General, Brent Gibson, and then, of course, the attorneys got together first, and then the chairman asked me to join him in the meeting, and I was more than happy to do so.
Did you feel like Conor was happy with the outcome?
Yes, it was a great meeting. He's got a good sense of humor. Everybody put their cards on the table, so to speak. We were very candid with one another, and as I stated before, it was mutually beneficial, and I think that's what it's all about. Today was, I really believe today was a great day for our commission. The chairman articulated it very clearly to you earlier about what we're trying to do. We're trying to be fair and reasonably firm, and to be consistent. And you know, for the fighters that represent themselves in a noteworthy fashion, we always like to recognize them too. And for the ones that don't, well, you know, then we have to deal with them. But we want to deal with them fairly and equitably, and move forward. Because you know, in the past, you know, nobody's 100%. In the past, some of our probably decisions could be interpreted as being too conservative, TOO. But you know, like anything else, the longer you're on the job, the better you do.
Legal action taken by his side. Do you know if, as part of this, that was dropped, or was that even discussed as part of the negotiation?
No, that wasn't in our meeting. That wasn't discussed about his legal options to go to district court. That was not the purpose of the meeting. The purpose of the meeting was to share each side's positions and what he can expect from us and what we expect from him, which is pretty much all the fighters. So whatever direction he wanted to go, should it be district court or whatever, was not an issue, or nor was it discussed during our meeting with him and his attorney and his manager.